Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. Serious, what terrifying confession has someone told you while intoxicated? Attention. Serious, tag notice. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing a NOMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Showering off my blackout drunk father because he had shit himself when he starting bawling and confessed to being pinned down and raped by his brother's friends. Edit, this comment took off, so I'll elaborate a bit on the FAQs. I was 16 when this happened. He worked an early shift, so he was always home when I'd get home from school and would be drunk on the average 4 days a week. He was never abusive or angry, just distant. But in that moment when he blurted it out, I could see the pain and weight he was carrying through the tears. I was obviously in total shock, so I just let him sob and talk as I listened. I finished washing him off, then got him to bed where he slept it off. He was blackout drunk, so I knew he'd never remember the conversation, so I kept it to myself. Other than my therapist, I've never told a soul until now. He blamed himself, and there's unfortunately still a stigma surrounding men and admitting sexual assault, but it does happen to them too and needs to be addressed. My father dealt with it in an unhealthy manner for a long time. Whether or not he talked to someone to address it properly, I'll never know, but he has been sober for over 20 years now and much more present in our family's life. Jesus Christ, that's heartbreaking. Oh my God. How is he now? Was chilling with an older dude with whom I recently started working as a butcher in a grocery store. A couple of beers down and he starts telling me he's been in prison for 17 years. Came out 2 years ago and it's his first ever job at 64 years old. I got curious and asked him what happened if it was too private. Without hesitation, he simply answered, I cut him down with an axe, this piece of shit. And now he's a butcher. Dude must really like his job, I guess. LMAO. Find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Freshman year of college, among all the new friends I made that year, there was one guy who was always a goofball. Very laid back, casual, down for whatever. The biggest red flag we got from him was that whenever people were drinking and hanging out, he would always essentially black out. He drank way too much and would kind of spaghetti noodle his way around the party. While also intoxicated, after the party had winded down one night, a few people and I asked him why he always goes so damn hard. While drooping his head a ton, sloshing around, and slurring everything, he told us about how a few months ago, the summer before college started, his best friend called him. They lived in a small town by the beach, and his friend asked him to come meet him to watch the sunset by the water. He biked over there, sat down, and they talked for a while. Everything seemed fine. Then his friend took out a pistol and shot himself in the head, killing himself instantly. Apparently my friend had to call the police while covered in blood, brains, and skull fragments, just totally in shock. And then a few weeks later he went off to college a few states away, still in shock and unable to sleep or focus on anything. He didn't remember telling us that story, and I don't think any of us wanted to bring it up. His drinking habits didn't change until he was about to graduate, by which point he started going to therapy, got a job right after graduation, and seems to be doing better in the years since, thank God. That is so fucked. Those poor kids. This was about 6 months ago now. My brother and I were getting drunk one night because it was the weekend and we just wanted to get fucked up and play video games. We had done plenty of shots and plenty of drinks and we were the definition of fucked up. We were having fun playing some old WW zombies for nostalgia, and we paused it to grab some chips. As I was grabbing the salsa, he said to me that he had tried committing suicide about a month prior to this. He had taken some pills and they pumped his stomach and shit, and he told me the whole time he was thinking of me and how shitty and depressed I'd be if he had died and that he'd never want to lose me. I told him I had also tried committing suicide a while ago and I thought the exact same thing about him. We continued playing zombies while talking about everything under the moon, and we've been talking every day since, have never missed and will never miss a day. We're both doing a lot better now and we're both in therapy. It's nice having someone to talk to and trust about these things. Edit, thanks for the awards, y'all. But instead of gifting me stuff, check on your friends and family, and especially people you haven't talked to in a bit. Sometimes we're just too depressed to try initiating conversation. I'm glad you're both better now. In a weird way, this is almost wholesome. I'm so glad you both have each other and that you're doing better. Had a former friend tell me he killed his brother. Didn't help this was while we were trying to herd his drunk ass to the car as he was crying and yelling it at the top of his lungs. Amazing we didn't end up in cuffs or the very least get stopped and questioned. Come to find out his brother died of a brain aneurysm and that morning he prayed for something to happen to get him out of school that day. He always blamed himself for his brother's death and I get that to a degree. I've told this story before, and it is one I don't expect anyone to believe but I don't care who believes what. I was there, and I know what went down. Anyway, I had a friend in high school who had a younger brother I was also friends with and who also attended the same school. The three of us, sometimes with others, would often meet in the bathroom directly across from the administrative office to smoke cigarettes first thing in the morning. For whatever reason the teachers and admins never looked in that bathroom for smokers. So we're in the bathroom that day, and the older of my two friends said that he had just gotten a new video game. I think it was Aliens on Jaguar or something along those lines. He was talking about how fun it was, and I asked if I could come over that night and play it. He said, "Fuck this, why wait? Let's go play it now." My parents would have given me a lecture or something and they rarely answered the phone. There was a high probability that I could just skip school and my parents would never know. His dad would beat his and his brother's asses if they skipped school. He wouldn't be home until late, so going to their house wasn't an issue, but they had to make sure no one called their father when they didn't show up to homeroom. So they went to the admin office and told them that their aunt had just died and they needed to go home. They said their dad was on the way to pick them up. Everything went smooth as could be, and we headed out toward his house. We were about halfway to his house when a car pulls up on us like it is trying to run us over. It's their dad. He's fucking fuming. He says, "Your aunt just died and I've been looking everywhere for you, get in the fucking car." We all thought that maybe the school did call, left a message offering condolences or something and he just didn't know it was all a lie. So the younger of my friends says, "Dad, we just told them that so they wouldn't call you." He says, "I know what you did, and now my sister is dead. I hope you're happy." I still thought for sure he was just trying to teach them a lesson or something. But no, she actually died. Despite being the beat his kids for doing dumb shit kind of dude, he was as much a friend to all of us as his kids were. So later, I heard his side of the story. He called the school to tell them he would be picking them up because their aunt just died, and they said something like, "Oh yes. They already informed us of everything. They'll be waiting out front for you." He had just found out himself from their grandmother who definitely did not call the school. So he was a little confused, but decided to figure that out later and went to pick them up. When he got to the school he didn't see them, so he walked around the building, then went in and asked them to call them over the pier, all while stressing out about his sister having just died. Then he realized. Asses were beat. They blame themselves to this day. I am pretty sure their dad does too. My friend told the Spanish teacher his grandmother died to get out of a Spanish test, did it in front of the class. We started giggling, so he started laughing into his hands while covering his face, which the teacher mistook for hysterical crying, so she sympathetically escorted him to the door. I think his grandmother died 3 or 4 times that year. Whoa. One time, an old acquaintance, F49, and I, cubic meters too, were drinking late into the night. She drank much faster than me, and before long randomly and drunkenly confessed to me the following. When her aging and sick mother, whom she despised and was a ton of unappreciated work to care for, was left in her care, she intentionally withheld certain medications and gave her too much of other ones, with the plan being to kill her off. It worked. She told her other siblings that the illness must have finally gotten to her and she passed in her sleep. Since she was already old and sick, there was no autopsy. A minute later she snapped out of it and apologized profusely for telling me that, adding that I am the only person she has ever told. Hope she doesn't decide it's too risky for you to walk around knowing that. I know, right? She was always a bit shifty and hot-headed. My mom told me she wished she aborted me when I was 8 or 9 or so. She's doing better now after a long struggle with alcoholism. Our relationship is much better, and when I told her this a few months ago she hugged me tightly and keeps apologizing to this day. Edit / thank you so much for the awards. And everyone who relates, I hope you will find peace and love wherever you may go. Glad she apologized.